Okay. Hello. Hi. So this is different. I mean, if you have never watched one of my videos before, you don't care. But I have a studio. Look at this. It's still under construction. I only have about 50% of the gear, but like I can't wait to get my microphone stand, the cool like armband one. But right now I have to hold it. Ashley and I are starting a new show soon, to go along with the AJ podcast, like a different show. And so I decided this time around I want to do it different. I want to do it at the highest production quality. So when I started my show back in like 2020, I just bootstrapped it and I've been doing it that way ever since. Just got a microphone and just started recording podcasts. And I still do it that way. But this time we want to do a different show. We have a couple of ideas actually for some different shows in the future. But this is the first time that we're going to like really try to up that production quality quite purely because I want to. I've always been kind of techie. I like digital drawing. I like building websites. I like building marketing campaigns. And I like making content. And in the past few years, I actually started the company on my own and Ashley came later. And I've really been like head of IT for a long time. And so if we want to get anything done, we just have to do it and not really worry about the bells and whistles. And I think that that's really great advice for anyone starting a business online. But it's just time for some bells and whistles. I've earned it. And you know what happened was I actually went and recorded a podcast with a friend, Carly Brawner of the Doing It Different show. And I had to drive into Austin for it and go to a podcast studio. And I was like, oh, this is cool. So I start looking into like maybe we should use it. Maybe Ashley and I should meet here and record in person and have guests and record in person because this just like feels legit. Like you know what? I'm a grown woman. This is not a baby business anymore. We are making money. We are doing moves. Like we're legit and I'm going to start acting like it. So I start looking into like their memberships and they're anywhere between like 500 and 800 bucks a month. And at first I was like, I'm a big girl. I want to do this. But I'm looking at it and like all the equipment and I'm like, I'm going to price this out. If I built this studio, what would it cost? Like how many months of like a $500 membership? And actually I was looking more at the $700 one just for what I wanted. How much would that cost? So I priced that out and I was like, I'm building my own studio. So it's halfway under construction. I'm still waiting on some stuff, but I have my studio lighting. I have half of my soundproofing. I have a bit more coming. I have like a glow sign. I want a glowing sign. Maybe. I mean, it's overdone. But I don't know, like, what do you think of just the plain black background? Is that cool or is it like meh? So I'm in like a corner of my office. I've created this. So yeah, we're just missing a few more pieces, and I have my laptop just like monitoring stuff because this is new to me. So I'm probably looking everywhere. Anyway, boring story. But with the new podcast, we're still trying to think of a name for it, and I would love your help. So I did ask on Instagram people's ideas, and I got a lot of like some interesting themes about, I guess, what people, because we didn't really tell people what the show would be about very much. So it was interesting as an experiment to see like where people assumed Ashley and I would go. So there was a lot of like life beyond HA. The word beyond came up a lot. Words like nourished and fully nourished and things like that. And that was cool. But what I just know that my personality is like, I'm not girly. And even though I have like a basically show that advocates for women's health and body image and all that good stuff, I just was like, I just am not going to have a show that's called like I don't even know, like nourished and flourish the world. Actually, that was a suggestion from someone. Nourish to flourish. Like, love it, but it's not me. Do you know what I mean? It's just not me. Like, I want something funny. And Ashley's the same way. She is also like funny, sarcastic, entertaining. And so the show is going to be very much about our expertise, which is like women's health, body image. There's tons of shows out there like that, right? But we also want to work in like some current affairs, business entrepreneurial, and I promise we have a different approach in mind. I also want to do like some segments. I have some cool segments in mind. Um, I really love the format of shows. A couple of my favorite shows are The Hamish and Andy Show and Tony and Ryan. And I just love how they have like segments with banter. And I'm just inspired by it. So I'm just creating like a whole new show. I've never done a show that has actual structure before. So this should be new. We'll see, guys. We'll see. I might just be ovulating and just be like on major inspiration mode. So we'll see. But yeah, anyway, a name that comes to mind for me that's like less girly and more kind of fun is I love the idea of like how other girls girl, or one that I'm playing with a lot is average unicorns, because unicorn comes up in almost every like category genre. You could be a unicorn in business, but you could also have unicorn syndrome. And Ashley and I talk a lot about unicorn syndrome, where just like we all love health for everyone else. We're all like, yeah, you go girl, you have a great relationship with food and you deserve to be comfortable in your body, but like not me. I'm the exception. It's not okay for me. I'm the unicorn. Or, hey, I know that like you need to do this for health, but I think that I am not that way. Like, I think that I will not achieve these things that way, or I can achieve health while maintaining my unhealthy like habits and beliefs. So that like we're all unicorns in some way, and I thought that like average unicorn would be like a funny oxymoron, and it just like suits Ashley and I because we say it so much. But I don't know, maybe it's lame. You tell me. I'm really interested. I want name ideas. Give me them. Names are usually something I'm kind of good at. The Hypothalamic Amenorrhea podcast, for example. Okay, so I really wanted to do this episode today, really to like test drive all my gear, but I might as well make something valuable out of it. So I was going to do a YouTube Q&A. I've got lots of YouTube questions I haven't replied to. I know I need to, so I'm going to bang out a bunch of them right here. So let's just dive right in, shall we? Okay. Thank you. Oh, Lena says, thank you for all of the great advice. I had my first baby at 26 years old with the help of IVF. But after following your advice, I just found out I'm pregnant with baby number 3. Oh, this is not a question. Sorry, guys. Okay. AU says, hello. 5 months ago, my cycle returned and it had been regular until this month, and I haven't had it again. What am I doing wrong? So I've talked a lot about like when you miss the second period, or what you might expect in a second ovulation. I have videos on this topic, like how long will it take, and you can expect it to maybe take a little longer than usual. But if you had 4 cycles in a row and now you don't have one, something changed. So probably something in your life changed, whether it be stress, work, study, relationships. You might have been traveling, or you might have been moving, through to, hey, I've had my menstrual cycle for 5 months now after not having had it forever. I'm going to start working in some more exercise, or maybe I'm going to cut back on food a little bit because, I can't justify continuing to eat this way. I'm now healed, right? That is typically what gets us a little bit of a delayed cycle. It's going to take you at least a solid year before you're no longer really sensitive to that kind of stuff. So I highly recommend that you do a like a review, look back at your calendar. What were you doing the last 4 months? What was working? Chances are you made some changes around like month 3, and the 4th cycle like still came, but hormones were getting a little lower again, and then the next one didn't come. So really think back, what got you your first and second periods? What have you been less consistent with, whether it be consciously or subconsciously, within your control or not within your control, and try and replicate that. And it's really important to kind of figure out, where did the change come from? If it was like you were studying or things got crazy at work, it's like, look, that's real life and that's okay. But if you found yourself being a little less diligent with what you need to do to maintain your menstrual cycle right, you thought you were the unicorn and you didn't need to keep going this way, or you don't deserve to keep eating in this way, that's the kind of thing that's going to make your menstrual cycle go backwards. So I recommend you do that review and you'll figure it out. Okay. So is this a question? No. The comment. Okay, I think this is a question, so we're just going to read it and find out. Celissa or Celisa Clissa says, most recently, I started exercising again after not exercising since November, and I started doing a version of the 12-3-30 treadmill. I don't know what that is. And I think that shocked my body because my period was a week late this month and I'm not stressed and I eat pretty well, but it's my body's way of saying slow down. I really wanted to stick to it every day and took 3 days off so far and finally got my period. And I'm torn whether to do Pilates or do treadmill again. I'm in my 20s and never been on any medications and I'm not stressed. So this missed period was odd. My periods are always regular. I was never a cardio person in general, but in the past I stuck to light at-home strength training exercises with weights, not super heavy. And that didn't affect my period. But with the whole 12-3-30, or in my case 7-2.5-30, it's a sort of struggle to just walk that fast for 30 minutes. Okay, I'm not sure I fully followed all of that stuff. But I'm hearing like it seems weird that the exercise I'm doing and what I'm doing is impacting my menstrual cycle. And so I get that. Like, this seems like it shouldn't be that consequential, like what's going on. But honestly, like, this is just how it goes. And I don't know. I assume you have a history of HA, Clissa. And so that you started exercising again in November and it was all going well, and then this changed. If you were getting your period back doing this type of exercise and then it went away, it's probably not that necessarily. It's probably like everything else. Like maybe you also didn't eat as much, or like typically that's going to be it. Or it could be stress. So don't look too much to the exercise in that case. But if it is that you started in November and then since then you haven't got the period, then yeah, there's something about the exercise that's not able to be supported, whether it's that you're not eating enough protein or carbohydrates to go with that. You lost weight and you introduced the exercise, but you didn't introduce more calories. So now you're back in a caloric deficit. If you haven't been recovered for very long, it's highly likely that your body's going to be sensitive to that. And so that makes a lot of sense. I hope that helped. Okay. Is this a question? No. Okay. Fatima asks, what do you think of very mild pain in the left uterus, very low abdomen? I've been experiencing it for a while, but still no period. So I actually do get this one a lot. Obviously, there is only one uterus, so I think Fatima just means the lower left side of the left side of the uterus or the left ovary. I do hear people be like, oh my gosh, I've got this sensation. I'm feeling something in my ovary. And that is really kind of common. But the problem is that it's really subjective. So I don't know 100% what you're feeling or if it's the same as what my other client or Q&A person is describing. So just keep that in mind that I just don't know for certain. I do feel a sensation around ovulation, and I did feel it in my first menstrual cycle as well, I remember. Because you'll hear people be like, oh, I know when I'm ovulating. I'm one of those people. It's really true. You can feel it. It's an organ. You can feel your heartbeat. You can feel your lungs fill. You can feel your uterus and your ovaries doing stuff. And it makes sense that when your uterus and ovaries have been dormant for months or years, they've been doing nothing. They've just been sitting there getting dusty. Suddenly, they're bringing follicles to maturation. They're producing cervical mucus. They're building uterine lining. And eventually, they're preparing to contract to get rid of that uterine lining because you're not pregnant. It's like you're probably going to feel something. That just kind of makes sense. So I do think that people are feeling that. And even if it's going on for a really long time, the beginning of recovery, your menstrual cycle, this organ is starting to do stuff from a dead stop. So expect it to take time. Expect it to need to warm up and attempt to bring a follicle to maturation and attempt to ovulate, but need a few tries and not look the same way a menstrual cycle that has been going on in a positive feedback loop for a really long time. Do not expect it to look like that. Additionally, it could be gas. Okay. Okay, here's a long one. This is a long one. Let's go. Lydia. I heard of the all-in approach a few years ago, and I thought I would give it a try. Lo and behold, my period arrived the next month. However, when I reduced to a maintenance intake of 2,300 calories a day, my period ceased entirely. Interesting. At the time, I wasn't at all concerned. I knew it could take up to several months for my body to establish a regular cycle, so I decided to let it be. A year later, there were still no signs. I upped the calories again and got a period. Admittedly, this scared me a bit. It was easier to believe the previous year was a coincidence and not a coincidence. Oh, and not a consequence of eating more. Why, when I overload my body with food, I get my period the following month? I have not been in a calorie deficit for years, not since I was anorexic at ages 11 to 17, and eat regularly throughout the day. My weight is stable, averaging a 53 to 4 pound, 53 kilos in a 4-pound range. We're mixing up metrics. All right. And for my height at 174 centimeters, so for those of you wondering, that is tall. I'm not unhealthy. Obviously, so 53 centimeters. 53 kilos at 174. I'm not unhealthy. I'm going to pause right there before I finish the rest of the conversation. I have calls like this with women all the time. I'm this tall and I'm this weight. I'm totally healthy weight. I'm not saying you're not a healthy weight, but I am saying I would 100% lose my period at that size. I'm shorter than you, and I never got as lean as 53 kilograms. So if this is you, and this is so many of you, y'all, I'm not just talking to Lydia right now. This is all the time. I'm going to need us all to take a breath and look at our height and weight and realize that just because you are not at that weight that your friends are worried about you, oh, I'm worried about you, you're so thin, just because that's not you does not mean you are not lean. And I'm telling you right now, if you're 173 centimeters and you're 58 kilograms, I'm not ready to let you convince me that you're definitely at a healthy weight. Okay. Obviously, being in a calorie surplus long term is unsustainable. Is there an alternative to restoring my cycle? I'm not an obsessive exerciser. Ironically, I have ME. So aside from the floor exercises I do each morning, my lifestyle is sedentary. It has been a year since I last menstruated. Could this be related to being severely anorexic during adolescence? I was hospitalized 3 times. Might I have acquired damage to the hypothalamus from chronic malnutrition? I was late to reach my menarche, get my first period. I was 17. And I have only had a handful of periods since. Sorry if this sounds jumbled. My mind is all over the place. No, it wasn't jumbled. It was all solid. Makes a ton of sense. I could agree with you that there's potentially your history needing to be taken into account. You do not get to compare yourself to anyone, quite frankly, but especially not to someone who never had anorexia. You just like don't get to do that. So considering your past, there was a lot of stress, and we all know eating disorders don't go away. You learn to navigate them instead of them navigating you. You establish a better relationship with food and exercise. You stop doing those behaviors, but it's still there, causing you stress, subconsciously driving some of your actions, telling you that at 174 centimeters, you are a healthy body weight at 53 kilos. That is the eating disorder having those conversations with you, either partially or completely. So I do think that there's an element of stress in there that is like going to take you quite a while to get back to a homeostasis for your hormones. Let me reread some dates on here. A few years ago, gave it a try, and got her period back the next month. That's really great. So, however, she went to maintenance intake. So I don't know what your calories were when you got your period back versus the maintenance intake. So if you were eating like 3,000 calories, and you probably don't know, you weren't tracking, I don't know, maybe you were. If you're eating like 3,000 calories and then you went to 2,300, that's a huge drop. So you may not have titrated down appropriately. So that like sudden drop in food is scary. It's possible that you get all of your calories from diet food still, like rice cakes, low fat food. You swap like sour cream for Greek yogurt, you eat low carb bread, and you mostly eat leafy greens, and you eat only lean protein, and like everything that all of your calories that you eat are diet food. This can be contributing. So there's tons of areas you can go in. But what I want you to know is that it's possible your weight is still too low, and that's a contributing factor. So although you feel that you are at a sufficient weight, although you feel that you don't exercise and it should be not a big deal, if your body is still hypersensitive, your body weight could be a deal, could be a thing. I'm gonna introduce that to you, and then if there are any other things that come up for you, just let me know, and we can keep chatting. Okay. I mean, I have more. I'm supposed to kind of jump on a meeting right now. Okay, I'm meant to jump on a meeting right now, so I'm going to stop, and then I'm going to come back, and I'm going to do more in another episode. But yeah, if you have a question, please submit it to the podcast, either by coming to YouTube, put it on a comment on a video, any video, I'll see it, I'll find it, or come to Instagram, ask me a question on Instagram, and we would love to have you. So our Instagram is at Danny Sheriff or at the HA Society, at the HA Society. Please subscribe to this channel. I love that you guys are here. I love trying to grow YouTube. It's really, really fun, and I would appreciate it beyond belief. And I hope you like my studio. Okay, bye.